The symbol I chose for this project is the Confederate flag. I think it's a symbol of racism and hatred and divisiveness, and I'm going to use my video to tell you why. It's one of the many different flags that was adopted by the Confederacy during the Civil War. And today, people still seem to have this debate over whether the Civil War was about slavery or states' rights. And the thing is, I don't think that that debate would even be had if more people read primary sources. I'm going to directly quote some of the articles of succession just to give you a good idea of what I mean here. So I'm going to read this part. The first one I'm going to talk about is Georgia. And the direct quote is, "The prohibition of slavery in the territories is the cardinal principle of this organization." Mississippi's Articles of Succession said, "Our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest of the world. Its labor supplies the product which constitutes by far the largest and most important portions of commerce of the earth." South Carolina wrote, "The federal government announced that a war must be waged against slavery until it shall cease throughout the United States." And Virginia wrote, "The federal government, having perverted said powers, not only to the injury of the people of Virginia, but to the oppression of the southern slaveholding states." Almost all the Articles of Succession directly mention slavery, and most of them identify it as the main reason that they succeeded and or identify it very early in the article. Okay. So I believe that after reading those sources that the Confederate States waged war definitely on the basis of preserving slavery, and that even at the time that the economic and other differences that divided the North and South were already realized to be the result of slavery. So it's also important to note that what we recognize as the Confederate flag today didn't make a resurgence by being displayed, even by state governments, until the 1950s and 60s during the Civil Rights era, when there was a lot of protest for desegregation and political power organization through voting. That era was also marked by extreme violence, firebombed buses, bombed African-American churches, several of them, and lynchings of both Black and white activists who were trying to promote racial equality. And in fact, the symbol was so effective as a symbol of white supremacy that in Germany, the white supremacists adopted it because they're forbidden by law to fly a swastika. And so those are the reasons I think that this Confederate flag is a symbol of racism and hatred and discrimination, and that showing it and displaying it isn't just a symbol of individual racism, but of culturally accepted racism. I mean, it wasn't until just recently that we started to see a wave of Confederate monuments and the flags be taken down from state houses. And to normalize it in that way is to basically sanction discrimination on a cultural level. And we need to definitely put a stop to that.